Career. In most dictionaries, that is defined as an occupation undertaken for a significant period of a person's life and with opportunities for progress. For some, that comes at a good point in their life where they actually found something that actually sticks and they want to make that into a life career or future. But on the other hand, a lot of people are very indifferent and they don't know what they want for a job, meaning that their career path is going to be swaying side to side. But unless you're an internet creator, that is like endless. An impossible thing to achieve, but if done correctly, you can achieve it. But if you're in the case of Darkside Phil, you have to make this into a career. Like, internet content creation has to be a specific career because he knows that he can never find a job anywhere else because of his zombie resume. But yet he has to constantly say that this is a job.
This morning, the game developers released an apology. Yes, it's official. The game developers released an apology stating they're sorry the game doesn't live up to expectations and they will do their best to improve it. And it's hilarious now because this is what? The fourth or fifth major apology we got from a game dev this year. We just had one with Redfall. We just had one with Resident Evil 4 Remake that released on PC and ran like shit. It seems like every game that releases now, they already pre-wrote an apology for the game, knowing that it's going to suck.
Now, honestly, he's talking about the Lord of the Rings Gollum game, how the developer of that game released an apology, even though in said apology, they called it the Lord of Ring Gollum, which is really stupid. But I have to agree with Phil on this one. It is very sad to see that in 2023, gaming has devolved itself to making apologies. But in the case of RE4 Remake, the reason why it didn't really run well on PC was because of the graphics card inside computers. Some of it could not handle it. It doesn't really excuse Phil for like blaming PC issues onto console versions. That's the one thing that he always tends to do. He sees a PC complaint, must be a console complaint.
And I guess the question here is, is this the future of game development?
No, it is not the future of game development. Because there are a lot of games that come out this year alone, and they've actually ran fine. It ran beautifully. No issues, no problems. Sure, little bugs every now and then, but not to the point where it's game-breaking and ugly to look at. Gollum's case was very ugly to look at. But I love how Phil wants to look at like 4, 5, 6 apologies, and he thinks that this is going to be the future of gaming now, which it's not, Phil.
Is this just what we're going to see? Every single game releases, and it runs like shit, and it's broken, and it's unacceptable that games are released in that state, but we're forced to pay the full price, be the game testers, and then these game developers will slowly release patches after the fact.
We're not forced into buying these games, Phil. A lot of people that buy like Jedi Survivor, they bought the game because they liked the first one, or they're a big fan of Star Wars. We're not the game testers, Phil. We're just the consumer that buys into it and notices that there are some issues with the game, so that's why they release apologies as well as patches. But in your case, it doesn't work out, though, because you'll still find an excuse to say why a game is shit.
And the question really is, what enabled this? Because it didn't used to be like that, right? What enabled this culture of release a game broken, obviously unfinished, and then fix it after the fact?
It's stockholders, mostly. They want a game to be released at a certain time, but if it's not met by that certain due date, they would have to rush it out. So you have to blame the stockholders for that one. But on the other hand, though, this has been an issue since the PS3, Xbox Series, like Xbox 360. Around there, maybe you have a little bit of updates every now and then, but it became more prominent with PS4, Xbox One, and the Switch. More than likely, it came from that. He then goes on to make a point about how games in the past, you didn't have to worry about any updates, you just put in the game and you played it. I do agree that this is a valid point, but what Phil fails to understand is that back in that time, a lot of people relied on reviews just to see if the game was going to be good or not. Because back in some of those times, from the NES era to the Super Nintendo era, nobody really had video reviews, so they couldn't see how the game played in video. They had to go by word of mouth. But then he went on to say that some games went through a Cinderella story, meaning that they had major comebacks from it. He used Rainbow Six Siege, Final Fantasy XIV, as well as No Man's Sky. Good examples, but the problem with this, though, is that Phil has not played any of these games except for No Man's Sky. He had no desire to go back to that game, so he dropped it like a rock. But still, he kept saying that that's the exception to the rule, which, coming from Phil's mouth, it makes no sense.
But the problem is, it seems like every game dev is now riding on those coattails, saying we can just rush release a game out there, and if it's good, great, and if it's not, we don't care, we'll fix it later.
No, that is actually dead fucking wrong. If they see that there are issues with the game when it releases, they will actually listen to the consumers. They will see what's causing these issues, and they will actually attempt to fix it. You seem to think that all these game developers that like release games straight out the fucking gate, even though they're like rushed for time because of stockholders demanding that they be released, you're saying that they're not gonna take any time and effort. They're just like, oh, the game's fucked up? Meh, we'll fix it later. But then again, Phil, your content is like in the same boat. You just rush to get your content out, and you don't even care to fix it, even though there's a lot of fucking issues with your content.
That's an insanely bad attitude to have. And I hate to say it, it's very, very counterproductive in the games industry and to the consumer, right? It really is. Like, I'm sorry, but why do we want to see a game released unfinished, broken, and then you fix it later when we paid for it now?
So you're going to try to make this into a Jedi Survivor instance where the game wasn't that bad on console, but you want to throw in PC issues onto it, saying that the frame rate was dropping, even though it wasn't, and that the camera was broken, even though that was your own dumbass fault, and that the game was too hard, which again, get good, scrub. You just want to make these excuses to why a game is terrible. Oh, but I can't get my money back, guys. Oh, guys, I can't get my money back. And then people give you money because they feel sorry for you. You need to understand why game developers make things. But then again, you're not a game developer. You don't know what it's like to go through and make a game. You don't know what it's like to exceed people's expectations, because a lot of people either have low expectations for what they want in the game to high expectations. You have no idea what that's like. I ended up skipping the analogies that he used, but I can give you like the little synopsis of it, which was the whole, going to a car dealership to get a car and it falls apart and they mail you the parts, as well as going to a restaurant and ordering the chicken parmesan, his words, and they give you a poorly made product, which in reality, all that seems really stupid coming from him.
But in the games industry, for some odd reason, we accept this. As consumers, we pay full price up front, and then we accept the fact that we get a bad, broken product, and we like, as long as they fix it in the long term. Why do we accept that?
No, we don't accept that, but you seem to think that everybody accepts it. Granted, there are some games where they're blinded by nostalgia. Take, for example, Tears of the Kingdom. There were some bugs that came out with that game too, but you know what Nintendo did? They looked into it, fixed the bugs, updates. There you go, but people bought it anyway. Because most of the time, people are so excited by a product that they will just go in and buy it. But in your case, Phil, you're just going by your shitty gameplay, and you're trying to make that into, the game's broken.
Why don't we put our foot down and demand the product today that we paid for? I just don't understand this mentality. But what you're doing by allowing these game developers to do this is you're enabling bad behavior.
Just like your chat giving you money, they're enabling your bad behavior. Yeah, I'm bringing you up into this because that's essentially what you're doing. As soon as they give you money, they're enabling your gambling addiction. But let's go back to your point of why don't people do that? Because if they see that the game is going to be delayed, they'll get pissed off. You've done this before, Phil, where a game was delayed and you're like, no, I want the game right goddamn now. I want this game. I want to play it now. And then once you get the product, you'll still complain and bitch about it, like you always do.
Now, the thing is, the consumer should not be punished or blamed because we didn't do this. It's the games industry culture. And in reality, you might say, well, it's the game developer's fault. I actually don't believe that.
Phil, you just said that they're releasing broken games. So clearly you're blaming the fucking developer. Like, come on, why is it that you could contradict yourself within few moments?
It's the managers, it's the publishers, it's those people in charge running the projects who are having these issues. If you're in charge of a major game and you greenlight its release and the game is a buggy mess at launch, you shouldn't be in charge of a game. You should be unemployed because you're not a leader.
Well, there we go. He's found a way to be very fucking cruel and fucking dickish towards game developers, publishers, etc., etc. You know, from the man that said that he changed. He doesn't do this anymore. But now he's going back to his old roots. Oh, I want them to be unemployed. Phil, you don't seem to understand that they're following a stockholder's mentality where they need the game to be released. Publisher gets news of this. Publisher tells the developer this. You don't seem to understand how business works. For a man with a fucking business degree, you have no idea how business is run. But no, you seem to think that they need to be unemployed because they're not doing their job.
You're an idiot. And all you care about is the bottom line and making that money on sales day rather than actually putting out a good product for the consumer.
Then again, Phil, you're the one that's getting these new games and you're expecting to make a lot of money from a new release, which is very contradictory to what you're saying what game developers and publishers should be doing, huh? Imagine that.
And you shouldn't be in any position of power. You understand? But these people are all like this now. Like, how many games this year? Let's be honest. Literally, let's think. Callisto Protocol ran like shit.
And yet you love that game.
Dead Space ran like shit.
No, it did not.
Resident Evil 4 Remake ran like shit.
Did not run like shit. It had an issue with the graphics card for PC, both for Resident Evil 4 Remake and Dead Space Remake. So these examples aren't working for you, buddy.
Star Wars ran like shit.
Not really. It might have run like shit for consoles for a little bit, but it was mostly on PC. You're giving examples to how PC ports are. That PC ports are having problems, but you seem to think that console versions will have these problems. When in reality, they really didn't.
Gollum
definitely ran like shit on all consoles.
Redfall
had its own problem because it ran like shit because they dropped it down to 30 frames per second, and people were not happy about that.
This is just off the top of my head. I'm not even trying. And these are the games in the last 6 months that all run like shit.
Yeah, and then you said that Dead Island 2 ran like shit, but you never played it either.
And we're all still buying. Right? Like, what?
Not everybody are buying these games, Phil. They're not going to go out and buy these games. Different strokes for different folks, Phil, because a lot of people have a different preference to what they want in a game. Maybe they don't want Resident Evil 4 Remake, or Dead Space Remake, or Gollum, or Callisto Protocol. They want to play something else. But you seem to think that everybody in the fucking world are buying these games, when they're really not, because of preference.
What the frick?
You were about to say what the fuck. This is another thing I don't understand about you, Phil. Why the fuck do you say these words? You're not family friendly at fucking all, but you try to pretend that you are. And if you're trying to make a fucking short with it, not working.
And you know, another thing is that sometimes we kind of just give them a pass. Like, for example, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Everyone collectively agrees those games run like shit.
Ran like shit for co-op. Didn't really run like shit for the main story experience, the single player. It was mostly found in co-op. But if you did find it in the main game, they fixed it. But you kind of want to make a point that, oh, they ran like shit too. Everyone agreed, but not everybody agrees with this opinion, though.
And shouldn't be in that state, but it's the best-selling Pokemon game of all time. Did you hear what I just said? The best-selling Pokemon game of all time is one of the worst running. So what does that set as a precedent for these game developers?
It was only found in co-op, online. It was never found in the offline section. So this is all just bullshit that you're pulling out of your ass.
Do you really think they're actually going to work and put effort into pumping this out better? No, you just padded their pockets, you know?
Then again, you could say the same thing about Tears of the Kingdom, how that game was in development for many fucking years, but you hate the game. You do not like the game. You're not having fun with it. You're complaining that every time you're dying in the game or that you're getting hit in the fucking game, that it's the game developer's fault. That's Nintendo's fault for doing it. That, oh, I shouldn't get hit. This is a Nintendo game.
Yeesh. This is a bad state this industry is in, because it didn't used to be like this. But ever since all these patches are now digital and come after the fact, it's enabling the bad behavior.
How is this enabling bad behaviors? I really want to know. How is it that this is going to enable bad behavior for every single developer? And this is including AAA, AA, and also indie studios. How do you think this is enabling bad behavior? Like I said back before, you getting money on stream when people give you money, it's enabling your gambling addiction. By the way, when are you going to get that $1,000? Do you need those rubies that badly?
And that's not good. You know? What do? Well, honestly, you want to know what we do? Here's what people need to start doing. Stop buying games on release day.
So if people are excited for the game and they want it, so just stop buying games on release day. Yeah, that's not going to fly with most people, Phil.
Okay? Seriously. We got to stop buying games on release day.
But then again, Phil, I'm actually going to call you out on this. So you're telling people to stop buying games on release day. Didn't you buy Resident Evil 4 Remake, Tears of the Kingdom, Dead Space Remake? Did you buy all these games on fucking release day, Phil? Granted, you're going to do the same thing with Street Fighter 6 when that comes out, so...
Because this is what's causing the problems, alright? When you rush and buy a game on release day before those reviews come out and before you see anyone play it, you don't know what you're getting. But as soon as, that information is out there, don't reward the bad behavior of a company that rushed out a game that's a piece of dog shit.
Then again, you're saying that, oh, people don't know. They read reviews. They don't know what you're getting. Phil, reviews are telling people what they're going to get with the game. But at the same time, you're also going to get a bias of that reviewer that probably either love it or hate it or has a mixed opinion on it. That's what you're going to get with most games nowadays when it comes to reviews. Most of the time, they're not getting the patches, though. So most of them are being judged unfairly because of the patches that aren't in the game. Most games come with day one patches for a reason, because they know they couldn't put that into the game, so they had to make it there. So, again, how is that enabling bad behavior exactly?
I just hate to say it, people buy so much into hype. Day one release day hype. They want to be a part of the experience, right? That's really what it is. There's this cultural mentality that when it's a new release day, you want to be part of that release day experience. You want to feel welcomed and part of a movement, part of a community, part of a viral thing on the internet. And it has you feel like you have an identity and you belong somewhere, right?
Phil, I'm sorry to tell you this, but hype usually comes around before day one release. It comes around when people are announcing more and more information on certain games. Why do you think that they do digital conferences? Like the PlayStation Showcase, for example. They showed off all these games, including Metal Gear Solid Delta. Also Spider-Man 2. They showed that off. And you know what that did, Phil? It raised hype, even though the game's not even out yet. You're saying that this is causing hype for day one releases? I don't understand your logic.
I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah, you get that because you want their day one views. Like I said, you're going to do the same fucking shit you did with Street Fighter 6. You did it with the beta, and you're going to do it when it releases on Friday.
I've been brought up into that as well. But being a 15-year YouTuber, it's diminished down to the point now where I really don't give a shit if I play a game on release day or not.
Yeah, because you read reviews and you say the game is terrible, even though you never played it or have no interest into it.
Because half the time these games are so bad that it's just a laughable joke to be playing them on release day.
How do you know? Have you played them? No, of course not. You read reviews and you immediately came to the conclusion that the game was going to be fucking terrible. You're just going to contradict yourself whenever you get more games on day one release. You're going to do it with Spider-Man 2, Street Fighter 6, and many other games that are big name titles.
And you might say, well, Phil, this is hypocritical. Don't you play all these games on release day? Well, yeah, but it's my job.
No, Phil, just stop. This isn't a job for you. The only reason why you're saying that this is a job is because your zombie resume is collecting more and more dust and you can't do anything with that. So stop lying to yourself, Phil.
That's a difference. I'm not a common consumer who's picking and choosing and saying, oh, I can only buy one game in a 3-month span. I'm going to rush out and buy this game on release day.
Phil, you've done that in the past. You bought all the games that were going to come out on release day. You have done that, Phil. And you still do it to this day. You keep buying these games that you think is going to give you hype. That's going to give you day one views and going to give you a lot of money. In some cases, it works for you. On the big 80-90% of that time, it definitely does not work in your favor, and you get mad, and you blame the game for being low supporting.
Because I'm into the hype of the game. That's not me. This is my job.
This isn't your job, Phil. You're jaded with every game that you play. You look like you are bored. When you played Like a Dragon Ishin, you were bored. You didn't want to play that game. Anytime cutscenes happen, you're passing the fuck out. This job that you're having, you're not having fun with it. And every time you're looking up at the clock thinking, when is it time for me to leave?
To play these games and to cover them, and if they suck, to show you how bad they suck.
How so? Most of the games that you have played were actually pretty good, but you made up excuses to why the game sucked. Either they were too hard for you, or something didn't work in your favor and you threw a bitch fit. Like always.
A ton of people have outright said to me, Phil, thank you for playing Star Wars, because when you showed us Jedi Survivor and how bad it runs, I didn't buy the game.
I call bullshit on that immensely. Jedi Survivor looked fine.
I said I was going to get it, but once I saw how bad it was on release day for you, I laid back and I didn't play it. Good.
How is that good? Why are people listening to you? Then again, this is like your cult mentality. What you say is gospel, and they have to take your every fucking word. And if people disagree with you, you kick them out of your fucking pig echo chamber. God. God, that tumor is hurting.
And if I can do a public service to you guys by playing these games on release and showing you how bad they are, that's my job.
That's not a public service, Phil. Other people have done the same thing you're doing, but they could do it better. They can actually give you informative information to why the game is bad, what parts of it is good, and if you should get it or not. People can do what you're doing as a quote-unquote job and do it 10 times better than you. So, no. Just fuck no.
You understand? But I'm the exception to the rule.
How are you the exception to this fucking rule? That's the biggest word of the day. Exception to the rule. How? I don't understand.
Because that's my job to do this.
You say that this is a job. You don't know what it really means, do you?
You guys should not be out there wasting your money on dog shit. When you waste your money on dog shit, you enable more dog shit to be made.
Phil, what people do with their money is, like I said before, none of your fucking business.
And when I see games like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet becoming the best selling of all time, when it's obviously one of the most poorly optimized and running, that's sad.
Phil, you played that fucking game. Fucking scammed people into giving you $25 fucking dollars to name Pokemon. You got money from Pokemon, Phil. So why now are you saying, oh, the game was fucking terrible? Trust me, Phil, I've seen how you played that game. You were bitching and complaining that Nimona was beating your fucking ass, and you're saying that the game was cheating. So how in the unholy of abominable fucks is that any better than what you're saying right now? Oh, right. It's not.
That means there's a huge problem. You understand?
Again, how is it a huge problem? What people can do with their money is up to them, not you. If they want to spend their money on bad games, let them. Let them learn from this experience. But you're just saying, no, listen to me. No, you don't need to have experience on these games because I've done this for 15 fucking years. I can tell you when a game is bad and when a game is good. But you don't. You have no idea what's good and bad in this fucking community or industry.
Man, it sucks. This whole thing is a slippery slope, you know? And Gollum game developers coming out and apologize? They might as well not. Like, do you think anyone cares? The game's a mess. No one's going to buy it now.
The reason why they made the apology was an attempt to save face. That's why they did it. Their PR came out and was like, yeah, we're sorry that we made this game. Granted, people can take it at face value, or they're going to take it with the smallest grain of salt. You don't seem to understand that what PR is. You don't understand that what people can do to save face. But then again, you do it every single time you fucking beg.
You fucked yourself, right? So don't even bother apologizing. Just close the fucking, close the doors, fire the management, start over. You know what I'm saying?
You're just saying that they should lose their jobs because they made one bad product. Phil, a lot of people can make mistakes in this fucking world. And you're just saying, you made that mistake? You shouldn't do this again. Just close down everything. Get fired. Get fucked. But meanwhile, you can just sit there making a lot of fucking mistakes and you're trying to sit there trying to justify yourself. A lot of projection is just being spewed out of your mouth.
It sucks. I'm tired of seeing this shit. And now, here's the thing. June. Street Fighter 6.
Which you're going to play on day one.
Diablo 4.
Which you're probably going to play on day one.
Final Fantasy 16.
Which you're going to play on day one release. So everything that you're saying that, don't buy games on day one release, you're being hypocritical because you're going to buy them on day fucking one. Just saying, bruh. So when Phil ended that podcast, he ended up playing Tears of the Kingdom. Doing his job like he claims that he's doing. And along the way, he's having a hard time with it. He's getting his ass kicked multiple fucking times. And yet, his whales came by to deliver more and more money to him. But then he got to a boss in the game, which, like I said, gold mine of fucking content.
What happened? Am I supposed to hit that specific one? Oh shit, that's gonna be a pain.
Yeah, you gotta do something that's challenging. Oh, this is gonna suck.
You have to hit a specific one. A specific box.
Specific box when you can see the fucking weakness?
It's on his arm.
Yeah, Phil, you already tried to attack it. Did you not remember what you were doing?
Do we wait for it to be where we need? Like... Oh, shit. Oh, he threw me off.
It didn't throw you off, Phil. You were standing in a spot and you fell off.
This is gonna be interesting.
No, I'm actually quite bored.
How the hell do I hit the thing?
You get on top of it and hit it. You played Shadow of the Colossus, yes?
Can I tell him to hit it? Aw.
Wow. How much health did he have again? Okay, he didn't have full health, but goddamn, that's like 90% of his health fucking obliterated.
There's like no way to hit it.
You weren't trying.
Shit didn't work.
You're not trying hard enough. I think you're overthinking this like you always tend to do.
Can't target the one you want.
Huh, what'd you just do, Phil? You targeted something that was different and removed it. Why is it that Phil can take anything that's fun and just make it boring?
Well, that worked.
Hey, you did it!
Only problem is I do no damage to it.
You did damage to it. Stop lying.
This is gonna take an hour to beat. Look, he has like multiple phases and shit.
Well, it is an ever-shifting construct. God, yeah, no shit, he's gonna have multiple fucking phases.
Look at this. It's gonna take me forever. What happened? Forget it.
I love how he gets hit. What happened? Fuck this.
Now there's no way I can do this. I can't do any damage. With it,
You were doing damage, Phil.
I'm doing no effective damage. This fight will take me like an hour to do. Even if I do it right, it'll still take me an hour.
If you're doing it right, it will take you less time than that. It will take you at least 10 minutes. But you want to be like, oh, it's going to take me an hour. It's taking forever. Come on. I need my money.
You know? The only thing I can think of is do the 38 damage hammer to it. That's about it. It's the only thing that's going to hurt this guy.
Then do it then. You have multiple weapons, right?
It's obvious they don't want me to do this now. They want me to have, like, insanely powered weapons to fight him.
Then again, from what I've heard, you have not done anything to improve your health and also your defense. So that's clearly on you why you're getting demolished multiple fucking times. You know, for a guy that says he's doing their job and actually exploring everything in the game, you're not exploring hard enough.
Grab the crystal and run. Can you do that? Can you just grab the crystal and ignore the boss?
I think so. Looks simple enough, yeah.
After
Get owned.
staggering the boss, grab the crystal. How would I get it back to the shrine, though? There's no way to get it back to the shrine, is there? What's funny, you say it's a kid's
So how to get back to the shrine? Carry it.
game. Dude, this one is definitely not a fucking kid's game. This is
Tears of the Kingdom, rated E10 and up. So this is made for older kids, Phil, so yes it is. But at the same time, adults can enjoy these games too. But I love how he's like, oh, this clearly isn't a kid's game. This is a rated M mature Zelda.
This is not a children's Zelda at all. There's no way you can even consider it a children's Zelda. Just the complexities of the things you need to do in the game. This is 1,000,000% a game for adults.
You're really thinking that this is a game made for adults? There are people way younger than you, even children, that understand the complexities of this game and actually have beaten it. So, congratulations. A child can do your job better.
Tell me how a little kid's gonna beat this fucking game.
They actually are better than you.
Well, let me grab it. I'm trying. It's not working.
You have to make sure that it's fucking completely gone. You know, scattered. Then you can do it. You've done it before, Phil.
Yeah, this is dumb.
It's dumb because you're not skilled at this game. And not only that, you're not doing anything to help Link get his defense up. So, that's on you.
Yeah, I'll try one more time, then I give up. It's just everything.
Oh my god, he's such a gamer, guys. He's just giving up on everything.
Everything's so overpowered in this game, it's ridiculous. Like, they really expect you 1,000,000% to be playing this game as the only game you're playing and grinding it for like 20, 30 hours before you face anything. Like, what the fuck? No.
If you know what you're doing, then it will take you less time than that, Phil. But then again, didn't you complain that this game would take 100 hours?
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, he wants to rush through the game. He wants to get to the end game as quickly as fucking possible. But watch. I'm going to call this right now. He's going to do his stupid little best games of 2023. He's going to put this somewhere in the top 5.
I like to play your game. I don't want to just grind in your game to have fucking overpowered weapons and shit.
Then you're just making yourself worse and worse as you play, and you're not giving yourself an advantage. That's what you're trying to say. But also, you don't like challenge. So there's that too.
Well, I had it, and then it moved.
Why don't you take them off individually?
There.
Phil, why aren't you going to grab the crystal?
Where's the crystal? Okay.
Grab it, Phil.
It won't let me do it, look.
The reason why you didn't grab it is because you're not holding it down, Phil. God, why? And he's not paying attention. He's gonna die. Okay, I might have been stand corrected. Chill, meaningful, and positive stream. You know, great, meaningful content. Oh god, it's following him. Or at least attempting to.
We're gonna make him fall off. He is gonna fall off! Oh, bye-bye! He killed himself! No, he could float! Oh, I thought he was gonna kill himself. That would have been epic.
How would that be epic, Phil? You saw him floating, so there's no chance in hell they're gonna make the game too easy for you.
That would have been totally epic if he killed himself. Damn. Well...
Oh, please tell me he gets hit. It really baffles me that Phil seems to think that this behavior is acceptable while he's saying that game developers and publishers, they all lose their jobs just because they put out a faulty product. Even though the game is not really fully polished, that could be easily fixed with updates as well as patches. It just blows my mind that he still maintains his past personality into his current day stuff while still saying that he has changed and he doesn't do this shit anymore. Also, I do find it funny that he does not see his own hypocrisy when he says that people get into hype for day one views and day one releases. Meanwhile, he's doing the exact same thing with games like Street Fighter 6, Final Fantasy 16, as well as Diablo 4. We all know he's going to play these fucking games, and that he's trying to get those day one views so he can try to make a little bit of extra money. Also, I find it really interesting how a man that claims to love video games and he claims for this to be a job, it's really funny to see that he is sucking at every game and he doesn't want to adapt to the game's challenge. Phil, if you really truly liked this job and you actually had a passion for it, you would still maintain your love for video games. But as many people have said it, and I will keep saying it, you don't love this anymore. I would just say give this up while you can without making yourself look like a major douchebag.